A Girl's Struggle for More is all about discovering and being who you are meant to be. It's a historical fiction based on my grandma Ruby, who was born in 1904, and she wanted to do all the lovely things about being a wife and a mama, but she also wanted to be a businesswoman, which was very rare in those days. And what she went through to make it happen, I think, inspires all of us today to never give up. And no matter how long it takes, go for it and reach that dream. So Rise, A Girl's Struggle for More, and you can find it on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and other local bookstores. Thank you, Dr. Jacalyn.
Thank you, Diann. As you know, I read your book. It was phenomenal. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to do a testimonial.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you.
Diann, as you know, we have an amazing person who is waiting backstage for us to bring him out. There's so much to be said. His name is Stephen Gillen, and he's the author of this book, The Monkey Puzzle Tree. And before I bring him out, I just want to read something from his book that I found to be really apropos for introducing him today. So I'm just going to spotlight myself while I read. This is actually, from anyone who has the book, it's page 312, The Monkey Puzzle Tree, an inspirational story of transformation and redemption by Stephen Gillen.
Great.
So this is a quote from the book, and it's from a radio broadcaster, and this is what he writes. And this, of course, is written by Stephen. I'm Christopher Denning. Do I have a treat for you today? He's a globally successful entrepreneur, an award-winning international public speaker, a filmmaker, author, a TV presenter, a peace ambassador, a humanitarian, and a philanthropist. But yes, dare I say it, a reformed ex-high security prisoner who was involved in organized crime. Stephen Gillen, you heard right. He's here in front of me. He's the ultimate paradox, the story of inspiration everyone is talking about, and he's ready to go deeper than he's ever gone before. I'd like to add that Stephen is my friend. He's my colleague. I have learned so much from him and his lovely and talented partner, Daphne DeLucci, and they are my business partners. Let us welcome Stephen Gillen to the show. Hi, Stephen.
Thank you. Hi, Diann, as well. Thank you for such a wonderful introduction. Really, thank you.
Well, I really appreciate it, and I couldn't have said it any better. So I thought, why try to recreate it when it's already there? So it's absolutely magnificent. Stephen, as you know, I purchased your book right away after we met, and I started to read it, and I was just filled with so many emotions. And I shared that with you after the fact that I couldn't read it all at one time because there's so much in there. And knowing you, it was just a painful journey, but a brilliantly written, incredible story of transformation and redemption. So thank you for being on our program to talk about this book.
My pleasure, really. And when you said that, you know, there's been so many people around the world who have told me that, Jacalyn, and read this. Even an executive producer, I just come off a meeting with there over in Canada. He was, you know, just blown away. He's a dear friend as well, like you guys, and it's the emotion, you know, the emotion, and that was certainly what I led with in this book. You know, it was no frills. You know, I had to get down the raw stuff. I had to do it in a very, very professional way, you know, that had a smooth narrative and entertain. But I in no way wanted to lean away from the authenticity of what was right in this story, my life story.
Beautiful. I'm so glad you did, Stephen. And I know it had to be painful sometimes to revisit those moments. And so kudos for you, because your book is going to be helping others.
Yeah, it was cathartic. It has to be said. You would know this as a writer, and I had to get a lot of support when I was writing it because of all the work I've done. And you know, of course, there are layers to us on this journey where we we try and step into our full light and develop as human beings. And there's so much work I certainly had to do from the past, you know, for where I needed to go, and healing and so forth. And I've done so much, but when I wrote the Monkey Puzzle Tree and I really went into that story, that life, that experiences, what it translated to me, again, I found that there were still other levels which I had compartmentalized, really, I suppose, that was there, which I had to go back into again. And so it was more, there was even more healing and more stuff there all these years later.
Yep.
Thank you, Stephen. We're going to talk more in depth about your journey. What I'd like to just ask is that this book is so relevant and so important and of so much interest that it's actually being turned into a Hollywood movie. And congratulations to you for that.
Yes.
That's outstanding. And what I'm wondering is, as Diann just touched on there, is it painful to the point that you have to continuously go back there because you're meeting new people who are interested in it? Is it something that you wish you could just put aside and say, read the book and I'll talk to you later?
There's a few parts to this, really. There's, when people are when you get to this level of kind of exposure, you know, it's international, my brand now, and there's a lot of stuff out there, and people can kind of talk about you in the third person, which is strange, but, you know, you get used to that too. You really do, because the truth is, when it's you in your life and your experiences and that really emotive process you've had to take to jump a lot of painful fences, you know, solve a lot of really, really important things. It's different. You feel different about it, but of course you get used to that, and there's a lot more healing in, you know, that outwards kind of outputting message that you know, because I get a lot of messages back, which is really starting to help a lot of other people who may have problems resembling my own. That makes my heart sing. You know, there's even the healing in that, and really, the truth is, you know, I've done so much broadcasting now. I'm in media and stuff like that. I've learned to just try and be as professional as possible, because that's where the most value is out there as possible, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
Really good points. Stephen, when you were going through your journey, were you thinking about writing a book?
It's another great question. Because if you would have said to me 9 years ago, hey, you know, you're going to write this book and, you know, all this stuff's going to happen, I would have said, you know, what drugs are you taking? You know, literally. You know, I mean, you know, what planet are you on, really? Which is, you know, the real richness of life, because we think we know, but really more is always revealed, you know, and you can never say never in a way. And you know, I'm so glad that I you know, I continue to do things like this in the right way, because it, you know, when you come from a place of authenticity, you know, and real heart, and with the right energy to improve things, you know, it always will, you know, and that's surely one of the meanings of life.
I love that.
Very good point. I think also what you said something very important, which was you learned to let people recognize and speak about you in third person. But I think you also, in order to continue and not feel the pain, or maybe this is a girl talking because I can tear up so easily, that by embracing that third person, when you step into a business meeting, you automatically think of yourself in third person at moments, and it helps you get through a meeting. Would that be the right way of saying it, or thinking?
I get what you're saying, Diann. It's a very fundamental and central question, really. And the thing of it is, I suppose, is, you know, for me, you know, I can only speak for me, things can be so complicated, and we deal with so many complicated issues, but I try and make the complicated really, really simple. That's the first thing I'll do, so it translates to me. So I usually just, you know, I'm always led by doing the right thing, you know, because I know if we're doing the right thing, then that's what we should be doing. So, if I usually lead with this, and, the rest kind of comes. I don't have to overthink too much. If that kind of answers your question in a way.
Yes, absolutely. The reason I mainly asked it is because our different listeners, some of them probably are authors too, or maybe even thinking about their stories and how to put it down, right? And by you sharing that, because all of us have moments in life, maybe not as painful as what you've gone through, but still some pain that can just put your stomach into knots, and then you're like, I can't deal with it. And so that's one of the reasons it's so great to have you. You've written an incredible book. It's a life experience, and now people are going to be able to experience it and hopefully just, be inspired to be ready to be transformed in their own way and journey. So, kudos again for you.
Yeah, I think for writers out there, the important thing always is, even in filmmaking or any of the creative arts that I've seen, public speaking, anything like this, the closer that we can really get down to the authenticity of that message is where it's really at, because there's a power there, and to dilute that in any form never ever works well. And there's a lot of kind of elements to that. There may be some fears, or there may be some locked doors that people, don't want to circumvent or traverse, right? But it's, to be brave and keep to the authenticity and the purity, of the message is absolutely key. I've always found in everything that we do, and then it's just a matter of really learning the art of how to translate that, into the medium. If it's the written word that that entertains and has all the necessary structures and devices, so that can translate well to audiences, so they can and keep it simple, less is more, really, so people can integrate that. And it's the emotion is another important part to drive a story.
Thank you, Stephen. As you know, our audience is primarily authors or people who want to be authors. And I'm sure many people who have written something think about, how can I take this to another level? How can I have this as a movie or as a TV series? Or how can I have it animated? And you, in addition to being an author of 2 books, bestseller and award-winning author, all the attributes that I listed before, you're also the founder and CEO of Roar Media Creative, where you do a lot of work that could help authors take their product, what they finish, and turn it into that next level. So I'd love to hear from you about your book, The Monkey Puzzle Tree. What is it about this, do you think, that people are so excited and they want to share it in other formats?
It's one of the reasons we do what we do, is to add that value. But it's such a, the books, publishing, they call it the publishing maze. That's not for any reason. That it really is a maze, and there's different ways to approach it and do it. But there are, when you think of the quantity of books that are out there published, 1 million plus every, annually, and then some of them are wonderful stories. Many could be translated to TV, film. But, I have to say, my experiences is there are a lot of elements to achieving that kind of level of exposure to a story. And we do that for clients, and we help them, along with that. And there's a process there that's very, very defined. And unfortunately, I have to say, real talent is not enough. It's just not enough. You need a big marketing ability. You need to set your stall out from the foundational stuff, knowing what you want the book actually to translate in the future. And then the middle bit is the middle bit. And then, of course, you need to formulate the book correctly for your market. But, it's also the people as well. And you need a strong brand and a strong message and, a lot of strong PR to make you attractive to to hire literary agents, for instance, or publishers that can give you the next step up. But there are even elevated points, above that. This is where we just begin to get into the realms of translation to TV and film, which is a completely another world, different world to the publishing world. But it can be done, and it's a process. And the best advice is authors do need help if they want to go that route. And you need to get it right from the start, and it needs to be quite very professionally and very flawlessly done all the way through. Is a good bit of advice I would say to people who really want to sell their waters.
Thank you, Stephen. I'm going to leave you on Spotlight. I'm going to put up this this image of your book cover in motion. And so for people who are interested in taking their work to another level, we can look at this book cover, and we can look at the way it's been branded, the placement of the words, the size, the font, et cetera, et cetera. And Roar Media Creative will help people with this, won't they? Figuring out what is the best way to package your work so that it's attractive to audiences.
It really is a specialized process. It's a skill process. It really is. But it's quite a level of achievement to keep jumping these fences. So it needs to be structured right, and it needs to be carried right, and it needs to be shaped right to do that. So it's a very specialized journey, route. We do help people. We don't take everyone on, but I have to just say to all the authors out there, it is doable. If it is your dream and this is what you want, see that, know that you can do that, and be tenacious in your crafting of your work, in your tenacity to see that ending, and fulfill what you see and more.
Thank you, Stephen. We do have a comment from YouTube, Richard Cullinan. Be brave enough and honest enough to stay close to the truth. Stephen, anything you'd like to respond?
It's absolutely true. It's like I said about authenticity. Even in TV or filmmaking, I'm very, very aware that we're not silly as human beings. We know the difference. We know if something's off. So if something's really emotively, wrought, in the right way, and all the professional crafting and elements of whatever medium that is in there, it will carry an audience with all the devices that it has. But you will see that, if you lose that, one of the tricks is not to lose that, because as soon as you lose that, then the audience retention, it's noticeable. So it's a very valid point. I'm always aware of that when I'm crafting my work. How can I really keep an audience in the palm of my hand? And any time that I would think that I would lose them, then I need to look at that, and we need to make sure that we go back to make them transitions seamless. So it really is that roller coaster ride until the very last chapter, the very last line, or the very last scene.
Thank you. And I have a question for both of you, and I'll start with Stephen. So Stephen, when I was reading this book, I had a lot of questions. I was like, oh, wait, where's the next chapter? Wait, what's the answer to this? Should I call him and ask him? So my question is, how do you know when to cut it off and leave the audience wanting more? Or do you say to yourself, there's so much to share, I couldn't possibly put it in one book, I'm going to put it in a series? Or you just say, that's enough, I'm cutting it here, I'm going to go do something else?
I love the questions, Jack, because these are the questions, for writers and, aspiring people who want to get their, their stories out there. So many wonderful, wonderful stories out there. The world was built and is led by stories. It's important to know that. Cutting is a real skill, it has to be said. And I just seem, it's one of the things I'm very, very good at, is just knowing when to cut, a cliffhanger, and how to fit them scenes together. It's more of a director's kind of a point of view, if you was looking at it in that way, because it's fitting the larger narrative patchwork quilt together in the right way that not just makes sense, but has story points all the way through it, and it seamlessly makes sense in its tempo and its movement of speed and pace and so forth. And like for me, I just I've written for a long time. I didn't just arrive at that. I had to nurture that skill, but I had a kind of innate, kind of instinctive knowing of doing that. Dickens, was one of the best I've ever seen at doing that, at cutting, knowing when to cut a scene, and move on to the next scene or the next character.
So will there be a follow-up to this book with the rest of the questions that we want answered?
I've actually, look, it has to be said, I've actually got, my next book has been written. It's called Injustice, Love and Honor. Oh. And it really is an unbelievable tale. It's based on the true story of, the really, really sad murder of the UK's most senior policeman. There's so much to this. It goes back to 1920s Ireland. It's a unbelievable story. But this remains, the most awarded George Cross single incident in British history by the Queen, Her Majesty the Queen, up till now. And I had someone who was very, very close, in this story. He was a friend of mine, and I spent a long time really going into this and researching this. It's a wonderful story. It's written in the same style as the Monkey Puzzle Tree, it has to be said. And we've been in a rights auction, with global publishers for a little while now, these last months, which is coming to an ending very, very soon. But there are some stuff out there about this book coming out. The Sun done a piece on it, and all that hasn't even been out yet. So there are some stuff out there for people if they wanted to have a look. But we will be releasing something on that soon. It's called Injustice, Love and Honor.
Wow, you heard it right here.
Yes, congratulations on that as well. But so will we be able to get answers that are not in the Monkey Puzzle Tree because of where you cut it? I need to know.
I'm really privileged, with the Monkey Puzzle Tree, really, because there's just so much. I mean, for me, it's, I wrote the book. I've done the best that I could do, as I've said, and that was my job, right? But, there's been, so many wonderful people out there, and, they tell me things like, God, this is the kind of book I mark things down, and, when I read it twice, I see so much more. I think, wow, that's unbelievable. This kind of stuff, it blows me away. Yeah, that's what, this kind of stuff blows me away, a mere mortal and all that stuff. Really, it does, but, it's such a, it's such a gift. It's such a gift, to give something to other people in that way that can, really help them with traumas and this kind of dark stuff, as I had. And so it can be done. That's the message to other writers out there. Don't worry about the fear. Really dive in and write, is what they say. Write. Doesn't have to be perfect, because I guarantee you, by the time you get 3/4 of the way in, you'll look back at what you've done in chapter 1 and go, "What was I thinking? What was that?" And then you'll do a rewrite. So by the time you catch yourself up, you'll have something that's that's quite reasonable. So I wouldn't worry too much about it. Just write.
Good direction. Diann, I didn't give you a chance to comment about how you decide where to cut your book off.
Oh, that's fine. But I understand what Stephen is saying, and by not answering directly to your question right now in this moment, he's done what he's needed to do message-wise. And some of the other things maybe he wants to keep more private. Stephen, I'm speaking as you in third person. But I can relate to it so much. You're seeing there. And for me, writing Rise, it's just like you said, Stephen, to the authors. You just have to start writing, because what you first write, you're going to come back and you're going to go, oh my gosh, I need to do blah, blah, blah. And it takes a shape. But I do remember at first, on that one. I wrote so much, and then I was just like, wait a minute, I'm not developing the character strong enough, so I split it in half, and did that. People wanting it for more, praying that they would. And now that the book is out, I'm getting emails saying, when's the next one coming? And it's just like the greatest compliment on earth. Don't you feel like that, Stephen?
Yes, absolutely. These, it has to be said, these things are, they're unbelievable privilege, and they make your heart sing.
Yes.
In all the busyness and all the exhaustion of, trying to do wonderful work and, the normal stuff we all have to do. Right. It has to be said. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you both. We're going to take a quick break, and then when we come back, Stephen, you're going to read from your book. Is that right? Woo!
Yeah, absolutely. I can read. I can read a bit. Yeah.
That'd be
great.
All right,
fantastic. All right, stay with us, folks, here on the Corner Bookstore. We're going to hear from some of our sponsors, and we'll be right back with Diann, Floyd, Boehm, and Stephen Gillen.
Hello, boys and girls, and welcome to Story Garden. Your host, Diann Boehm. I'm so happy to have you here today.
Diann Floyd Boehm tells wonderful stories that warm the heart, spark the imagination, and unite people and families across generations. For children, Diann's Harry the Camel connects with all of us who've ever wondered how different our lives might have been if only we'd been born something better, like a wonderful horse instead of an ordinary camel. In the end, we all learn along with Harry that there's nothing better than just being yourself. Diann's Little Girl in the Moon looks down on earthbound children and wonders if they know she's just like them. A story of love, home, and the bond between mother and daughter, its powerful theme that we're each of us different yet all of us the same plants a seed in children that promises to blossom within a loving and trusting grown-up. Diann's new biography, Rise, recounts the experiences of her grandmother, Ruby, to reveal the hidden strength of the human spirit. Ruby's story inspires all of us to become the best versions of ourselves. You'll find all of Diann's delightful books and much more at diannfloydboehm.com. Visit diannfloydboehm.com. That's diannfloydboehm.com.
Meet the modern learner. Like most of us, the modern learner is short on time, on the go, and wants to learn on their terms and device of choice. The key is to meet them whenever and wherever they may be. The solution? Best-in-class content served up by the Engagement mobile learning platform, where the modern learner is at the center of the learning experience. For example, they can receive a text message that alerts them to a new learning module. They simply tap, watch, read and engage, or play a fun learning game. We transform your content into modules that are timely, accurate, academically rigorous, yet engaging and robust. Personality motivators are blended with modern adult learning principles to make it faster and more natural to absorb the content and have fun while learning. Our cutting-edge platform offers something for everyone. It can be an immersive experience where learners explore and engage based on what's relevant to them in that moment, or they can follow a set curriculum, earning badges and tracking points toward a credit or goal, or they can dive deeper into high-value professional content relating to their topic of interest. It's binge learning at its best. All this, along with an entire portfolio of real-time, usable data and KPIs for stakeholders. Imagine, share up-to-the-minute news, enhance current curriculum, build knowledge banks, drive sales, and foster community in the push of a button. To learn more or see a demo, please contact support@engagement.com.
everyone, and welcome back to USA Global TV, home of Talking Heads, and welcome to our friends listening out of New York on Business Talk Radio. Our show is The Corner Bookstore, and Diann Floyd Boehm, who is also an incredible author, is here with me today as we welcome Stephen Gillen. His book is The Monkey Puzzle Tree, an inspirational story of transformation and redemption. I'm so excited that Stephen's here. Stephen, you're going to read from your book.
Your book.
Your book. I feel like it's my book.
You are excited, but
I'm so excited.
But I understand why, because Stephen, we are so honored that you took the time to be on our new show, and so get all choked up too. So you're not alone, Dr. Jacalyn.
Thank you.
It's my privilege. It really is. I was thinking about that, what to read, Jacalyn, and I thought, well, let me read the introduction because it's quite powerful. And it has a rounded kind of shape of what's to come. Right. So as I sit here to recount the story of my life, I am wondering how I will be able to do it and stay alive. And I wonder if someone had told me at my birth what awaited me in this life, would I have had the courage to continue? What I have to talk about is galloping through hell on horseback, brutal, violent content, about deaths and people who have done and do unspeakable things. Some of these people are still unspeakable and still live unspeakable lives. Many are dead. Some hold grudges. Some still think that I hold grudges. Even now, some of it I find hard to speak of. I think it should not see the light of day. Other parts of it I question, do not serve humanity. Yet other parts, I am without doubt, are crucial towards helping humanity's progress, to the problems as human beings we have and still do carry with us. We will see parts of us scattered everywhere in it, especially in the emotion, in the pain, in the struggle, in the challenges, in the identification of having to constantly overcome unsurmountable odds and climb unscalable mountains. This is ultimately a story of overcoming the impossible, of becoming something I was never meant to be. But ultimately, it is a story of transformational inspiration, a true story of traveling through great darkness to get to the light, of finding my way back to myself.
Wow.
There's a lot more in there, but it's very deep, that part of it. I thought it was, and I just started writing there. So,
wow, it's very deep, and there's so much meat to it all. I can see why it became a movie. But the pain that you took on, and I loved what you said. If anyone would told you when you were a baby that this is what you were going to do, you're like, okay, put me back in my mom's womb.
Stephen, I'd love to know, how did you feel reading that? Does it stir up feelings, or do you sort of go into an autopilot?
It always stirs up feelings. Sometimes I find myself crazy busy, but just sometimes I will go back to this book, and I might just flick it, and I'll pick a passage or something, and and I'll relive it in that way, and it's always still as powerful, and it pulls me straight back in, as it was, then, and different stuff. But it reminds me of how rounded a human being's life really is. How many rivers to cross, how many mountains to climb, really. And the past is the past. I'm reminded, as well. It's there to teach us, of course, so that we don't go back to bad things. But it's a lot more about the present, in the moment, and certainly where we're going and what we're going to do with what we have now.
I love that.
I do too. We've got another comment from Richard. Hi, Richard. Wonderful. I'm sold. It reminds me of that line from the Jerry Maguire movie, "You had me at hello."
And you had me at hello. Fabulous line. We'll remember it forever. Or the line, I'll have what she's having.
Exactly. Because
back to you.
I think creative works, whether it's a book or a movie or a TV, it draws people in. It creates an experience. So, Stephen, by you sharing your life, I shared with you, and it just happened again. I am so just filled with emotions imagining your story. So, you have this amazing talent to stir up emotions in people, which is quite a gift.
Yeah, for writers, I mean, you see this across all the mediums, whether it's filmmaking, TV, or anything like that. It's a different skill set, but you have to remember, people, that even filmmaking or TV, it all comes off the story. It's the narrative. Everything comes off the story. Without the writer, without the story, there is nothing, to come off to bolt onto. So, the story always is all powerful, and certainly, one of the tricks is, one of the fundamentals is to make it that real authenticity. It's quite interesting as well, because you'll see it in scripted dramas and so forth. Some of them, they're really wow. You say, oh, but that's the filmmaking. That's that's the skill of the the script and all the rest of it. But there's just always something about a true life story or something based on true events that is even more than fiction. I'm sure we see this, because I do. I love factual stories. Fact truly is more strange and more wonderful than fiction, I think.
I agree completely. One of the questions I have for you, I don't know if the audience realized it, that there was a point in time that you were incarcerated, correct? Yes. And I have visited prisons before and helped people and knew people. And, some make that change. I would love for you to share, what moment did you decide you were going to go this direction to make a life change for the positive, instead of some of your friends or people that you still know who have decided to take the other road? Because it is a fork in the road, correct?
I think there are many forks and many roads. This
true.
is, and for me, it was a process. I think to reverse engineer that is a better way to describe it, in the sense that I really played that game. I have to be accountable. I certainly paid for it, and I really went from the bottom of it, to the top. But I saw through it all, and one of the realizations is that was never me. This person who we get beguiled into, or pushed into, or groomed into, or leveraged into, or forced into, certainly for me, that was never actually me. I was playing the part, but of course I play the part fully. All right. So that's a big realization. And I think it's seeing through the lies, for many of us as human beings, of things. And there's a process of that, as there was for me. And there are many other people I interview now. Some of the the most known mobsters really in the world, organized crime figures. And I see a lot of this as well, the redemption of seeing through the life, seeing through the lies, of the illusion of it all. And some are cleverer than others. They see through it. They usually have a lot of trauma, and there's a lot of other stuff that shapes these journeys. It has to be said. But I wanted out of that life for a long time, as I see many other people certainly do as well. It's just how you do that. How you do that is the ultimate fork in the road, because you must change everything that you are, you knew, or your friends, absolutely everything to do that. This is true.
Beautifully stated.
Thank you. We appreciate your authenticity and candor. Stephen, before we close out the show, I want to go just a little different path here for our friends who are following all of us on our shows on USA Global TV. And you and Daphne are hard at work taking us to the next level on our platform. What can people expect in January when we have our official launch of USA Global TV?
So much wonderful stuff there. There really is. I mean, there's a lot of back end stuff and partnerships that are really global with, some of the biggest communication companies and different stuff that, with wonderful audiences and, abilities and all that. There's a lot of really, really key influencers, some very big names, big followings, unbelievable stories, like mine, very, very interesting, who are there, who are going to be sharing their story, going to be, interacting with audiences as well to try and give as much value as possible. But there's a lot of other stuff that we can do. There's a lot of other wonderful workshops there. There's wonderful opportunities for KPIs, influencers, to have their own TV show in a way. They can broadcast and like talking heads. That's going to be some of the most skilled experts in the world. Certainly, I know there's some other people. I know there'll be some billionaires and so, real people with real value to give. Unbelievably interesting and unique content to go out. I suppose the other thing behind that is there's going to be a lot of support there, which isn't on any other broadcast platforms or media centers of this kind, in the sense, there's going to be a lot of experts there who can help produce, and we've got different ways to deliver content which can help people with their business and their broadcasting and their branding and their messaging, so they can really get up to professional level and even studio level if they wish to do that really, really quickly, and and then even shape and sell content, it can be said, in the worldwide market. This and a lot more is going to be available to people who want to take this journey with us.
Thank you, Stephen. I appreciate it. So wonderful having you here and having this opportunity to talk about your incredible book, The Monkey Puzzle Tree. People can get this over on Amazon. They can also get it on your website, which we're streaming that. For people listening on the radio, you can contact Stephen. His email address is his name, Stephen, STEPHEN, at stephengillen, GILLEN.com. Thank you so much. Stephen, what would you like to leave our audience with today?
I'd like to ask you that. What's the last question, ladies, that you would like to ask me? And, anything you like, we'll leave it like that.
Diann, I'll turn it over to you.
Great. So, Stephen, share with people to inspire them to be able to walk the journey and make changes in their lives for the better.
Yeah, the thing that I would say is it's important to understand that no matter where you are in the scheme of things, life is rough anyway. It's very important to know that, life is there for you, working for you, not against you. It's important to know that, certainly no one's not going to give you anything, but it's important to add more value, and what you put in is what you get out. And just be really, really authentic and really, really tenacious. And don't just think you can do something if you aspire to that. Know you can do it. And the most important thing, I think, as well, is to definitely keep your humility, treat others well, and you will be treated well. And another important thing that I would say is, no matter how high you get on the chain of things, always remember to be open to learn, and you will do very well. You'll have a very, very happy life, I'm sure, and achieve wonderful things. And don't let no one get in your way. Keep going.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very well done. Stephen, it has to be said, in all of the accolades, I did not mention that you are also a mastery coach, and you have given me some key learnings that are so incredible. I learn from you all the time, so thank you for that. Thank you for your friendship, and thank you for your support.
The same has to be said for you, really. I do. This is another thing as well. I say this, Jack, but I do mean it. Is that I'm privileged enough to have wonderful people in my life, and really, they're a lot more wonderful than what I would ever be. So I'm very grateful for that.
Wow.
And a big shout out to Daphne DeLucci. We are thinking of you. Thank you for everything that you do for USA Global TV and also for me personally.
Oh, thank you, ladies. It's been a joy. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Stephen.
Come back.
Have a wonderful day. We'll see you again soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Oh, Diann. Unbelievable,
That was
right?
powerful.
That
Yes.
was so powerful.
The introduction, I was just frozen when he was reading because he is the man. It wasn't someone else reading it, right? And I was just getting goosebumps and just powerful.
I was holding on to this chair, believe it or not. I was gripping the chair. I could imagine myself like sitting in the theater and like actually watching the movie. And then when you think that it's actually his life and he's reading about it, like I don't even know if I could, if it were me, if I could read about it, because I would, but that was so powerful. Thank you, Stephen.
Yes, thank you so much. And thank you for being so honest, and your words today, I know, are helping people. I have some friends that are with Substance, Alex and them and his group. And I just know that as he shares the replay with his group, that Stephen's going to inspire people, and there's going to be great ripples effects. So
wonderful. I didn't even know you had that connection with Alex. I love this. It keeps going and going and going.
Keeps going. Yes. He's doing some things with Rachel. So, and
That's
Rachel's a connector. So, and for those not listening, Rachel's my daughter who does amazing work in lots of different ways.
She's helping other people all the time as well. Diann, we have to take a break and end this show because we've got another show coming up. But I'm going to spotlight you, and please let our audience know how they can reach you. And I'll also be putting it in the comments section on social media.
Great. I'm happy to. Well, everyone, thank you for listening. And what an incredible guest we have today. He was just so inspirational. I'll be thinking about it all day. You can reach me at diannfloydboehm.com. If you saw the commercial, he spelled it really well. But if you missed it, DIANNF as in Frank, LOYD, BOEHM as in Mary.com. And all my books are there, and you can find out what each book is about as well. And Dr. Jacalyn, I have a new book that's going to be released. It looks like around November 24th, A Song of Peace. So I can't wait to tell everyone more about that. And I just had a short story released with 10 other authors called King's First Christmas, and it's for adults. So there's lots out there for the holidays too, for everyone, including your book, Dr. Jacalyn.
Well, thank you, Diann. It's always lovely seeing you, and you always inspire me. And people should know Diann is a major international connector. She knows people all over the world, and because of her, I can't even tell you how many connections I have made. So I am blessed not only to have you as my co-host, but as my friend. And you have always said yes to me. Whatever I ask, yes, 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 yes. That's just the kind of person you are. So thank you for putting all that light out into the world.
You're welcome. You too. I know you need to go for your show. Everyone, thank you for watching, and we'll see you again next week. Bye, Dr.
We'll see you again next week. Bye, Diann. See you soon. All right, folks, we've got another show coming up with Roland Friedel. It's called the Mallorca Connection, and I hope that you'll stay tuned right here. And we've got a great guest, and we're going to find all about what's going on over on that gorgeous island of Mallorca. Stay tuned. We'll see you soon. Bye.